Hey everybody, it's Cass and Court TV. This is your girl, Miss Public Info. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm here with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates of the most high-profile cases going on around the country. I hope you guys had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I hope it was great. I hope you had a lot of barbecue. I hope you had a lot of fun and friends and travel. This is the last hoorah of the summer. Mine was really great. I relaxed, kicked back, all of that. I actually even took an extra day because I wasn't back yesterday. I was supposed to be. But here I am back today, ready and just back at it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed summer 2025. I hope it was a memorable one. Hope it was a safe one. And here we are getting into the fall holiday, into the fall season. Okay, guys. Now, we have a lot of things to discuss today. So we're going to get into it. But before I do, I want to address, I had someone ask me about my background. So this background that I'm currently using right now is a Greek revival courthouse. So back in the olden days, uh, probably BC, probably in the days of Caesar. This is what the courthouses would look like. The justices or the judges or whatever, they enforced the law and gave their decisions on the law in courthouses that looked like this. Now, Greek society, uh, in European culture, they're probably the first democratic society in European culture. So they are the first to sort of have the judges and to have all of the court officiants and all of that. I'm not saying that correctly, but anyway, this is what their this is what their legal system looked like, and this is basically what my background is. It's a Greek revival courthouse. For those of you who care, I had a couple of questions about it, so I thought I'd address that. Okay, now moving on to the news. Um, we're going to talk about P. Diddy, and we're also going to talk about the missing young lady, the 19-year-old there in DC. And then we're going to talk about a really crazy divorce that is going on with our pal Scott Wolf from the Party of Five. We all loved that show in the 90s. So let's hit on Sean Diddy Combs. Now, you all will recall that some months ago, the Judge Submarinian asked the DOJ and the defense to come up with cases that looked like Sean Combs's case, that very much mimicked the Sean Combs case, from the fact that the parties were convicted of the Mann Act, to the fact that there were, large proponents of violence in the case, to closely sort of compare and contrast as to the case and what the sentencing looked like. He wanted each side to come up with cases that mimicked the penalty phase in which they were requesting. So, for example, for the DOJ, he was looking for them to come up with two lists. One list would include cases in which looked like mimicked the Sean Combs case, and the second list looked like results or penalties in these subsequent cases that sentenced the defendant very similarly to what the DOJ is asking Judge Submarinian to do. And the same for the defense. Now, that was filed on the 1st of September, on Monday. So let's go to this. I'm going to share my screen here, and let's go to this filing here. Now, let me close that down, and I'm going to pause this and go here. Okay, because I have a lot going on, guys. Sorry about that. So let's see. Here we go. Okay. So here is the filing. This is from the DOJ. Now, I will tell you from the offset that the DOJ provided 50 cases, 49 to 50 cases that were basically, provided to the judge. These were cases that mimicked and looked like the Combs case. And then they provided subsequently 18 of the 50 cases where that defendant was sentenced in a fashion in which they are requesting Combs to be sentenced. So again, the DOJ is looking at a substantially harsher penalty than some would claim a defendant would for the Mann Act. But of course, this has extenuating circumstances, including the propensity for violence, witness tampering, all the things that were brought out in the trial phase of the case. So I'm going to read this. Dear Judge Submarinian, the government respectfully submits this letter in response to the court's July 9th, 2025 order directing the parties to provide sentencing data to the court in advance of the sentencing proceeding in this manner. Specifically, the court requested that the parties provide available data on sentences imposed where, one, the primary or sole conviction was for a violation of 18 USC 242, which is the Mann Act. The base offense level under the sentencing guidelines was calculated under 2G 1.1 and a criminal history category of 1, meaning the same criminal history category that Combs has, which is a no criminal history. He is this is his first case. He is a non-offender prior to this case. The court further directed the parties to identify cases that match these criteria by docket number and jurisdiction, and instructed that no argument should be included in the letter, just data. The government has located several cases that satisfy the criteria identified by the court, which are listed below. And so they give the those cases there, and they basically give the subsequent the United States versus Felicita, and whatever her last name is, and then they give the case number, criminal case 14029, and this is just the data. That's it. And they do this for 50 cases that they give examples for, and then they move on, and then they give an example where the cases very similarly identify in terms of the sentencing range as where they would want the sentencing to go for this particular case with Sean Combs. And again, they provided 18 cases that were similarly sentenced under the same Mann Act conviction to show the judge. Now, many people have their thoughts about this. Well, what does this really mean? It could mean a couple of things. For in my opinion, I think this means that Judge Submarinian is trying to show parity. He's trying to show equity. So he's allowed both the defense and the DOJ to provide this list to him. That means that he is not just taking the Department of Probation's recommendation under consideration. He's considering several factors in this particular case. This is not just about what the DOJ and the Department of Probation wants to do. He's looking at case precedents as well. Now, for those of us who would like to see Sean Combs go away for a while, this worries people because they're like, oh man, he's gonna, look at precedents, because really there's not a whole lot of cases. They found 18 that sort of coincide with the fact that Sean Combs was convicted of the Mann Act, that he's a first-time offender, that he has a propensity to violence, that he should be sentenced somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 up for these two particular counts. Most people are like, oh no, he should be getting, a year, time served, at most 3. So there's not a lot of purported cases that are going to show, this is what we've done in the past with these kinds of people. There has to be extenuating circumstances. And so they have found 18. Now, the the defense found quite a lot more that showed their side of things. So basically, they have almost double the amount of cases that show that, hey, these are people who were charged the same, have the same category as non-previous offenders, the same type of case, propensity to violence, etc. And yet the sentencing was much lower than what the DOJ is asking for. So again, this is just Submarinian really sort of, this doesn't really tell us a whole lot of what he's going to do. But what it does tell us is it tells us that he is attempting very much so to be equitable, to show parity, to show that he is being fair about this particular sentencing, that he is not going to just look at one side or the other and make his decision based on that. That he is going to look at both sides. He's going to take his time. There is a reason he asked for no opinion in this particular fact-finding mission that he had the DOJ and the defense go on, because he wants to go on the data only. What does the data say in this particular regard? He wants to consider the data only as it relates to these cases that he's asked them to pull. Now, this doesn't mean that he's not going to consider other things in terms of what Combs was convicted of, how he, what other, witnesses and what victims have said during the course of the trial phase and afterwards, and those letters that can went to Judge Submarinian asking him not to release Combs. He's going to consider all of that. There's not just one thing, two things he's going to look at. He's going to look at the full picture, and that is what the result of that sentencing is going to look like. Now, those of us who have our own opinions on it, and mine is biased, and I talked to you guys about this before. So, if you're a first timer on my channel, then you're just learning that, it's an impossibility for me to give an unbiased opinion about the Combs case. It's personal for me, and so therefore it's an impossibility. But what I just said previous are the facts. Those are the facts. Now, as it relates to my opinion about what the judge is going to do, I do think that the penalty for Sean Combs is going to be stiffer than expected. And I think it's going to be stiffer than what his team wants. And what his team wants is time served. And I think that's unrealistic. I think it's unrealistic given all the things that have happened in this case in terms of the trial phase, post-conviction, the situations where Combs was supposed to show that he is trying to rehabilitate himself. He hasn't done that. He's just been trying to get out. Also, in terms of what the DOJ is seeking, and the DOJ saying, listen, we are looking for in a substantially more amount of time at this point because of Combs's propensity to violence, which, the fact that Judge Submarinian was mandated by the trial court, by the sentencing guidelines to keep remand Sean Combs, keep him behind bars because of the extenuating circumstances surrounding the case that he has in terms of his propensity to violence and in regards to many instances in the case where we've seen him heard from victims, heard from witnesses that he is very violent. And Judge Submarinian himself said that it is not the issue when they were talking about the bail, and Combs was fighting for bail to be released, and Judge Submarinian subsequently denied him bail. Judge Submarinian said at that time, it's not about what Combs will do when he is under surveillance. It's what he will do when he is behind closed doors, when those bedroom doors are closed and he's supposed to be asleep, or when that front door shuts and he's behind his closed quarters in the privacy of his own home with only those who basically cater to his every whim and need are there to, look after him. That's what we're concerned about. It's not about the fact that we're concerned he's going to do anything under monitoring. But then Judge Submarinian also and the DOJ cite the fact that Sean Combs, even with an under monitoring while he's been in the Brooklyn men's holding facility, federal holding facility, Combs has violated rules under supervision. So Judge Submarinian is unsure and has been unsure that he's able to, keep his word, abide by the rules. So they have not given him bail for those reasons, among other reasons. And those other reasons have to do with the fact that Judge Submarinian And the DOJ find Combs to be dangerous, in particular because he is a man of means, unlimited means, and so he's able to be resourceful and find people to help him do things, even if he can't do it himself. Also, the DOJ was very clear. The director of this division of the DOJ, Jay Clayton, was very clear about the fact that Sean Combs was a flight risk. And because he now knows and his team knows that he is looking at a substantially more amount of time in the federal prison, the Department of Corrections, the federal rehabilitation prison, then he's that much more of a flight risk. That is what Jay Clayton said, and that 60 in that 11-page response to the 62-page bail denial or bail request that the defense filed some months ago. So we are going to wait to see what Judge Shamranian has to say on this. Going forward, both sides have put their cards on the table as it relates to these cases. We're going to see next. We'll probably expect to hear from the Department of Probation. Their recommendation will be coming in the next few days. So we're going to keep our ear to the ground on that to see what that is, and that is going to be interesting. We are also awaiting a response from Sean Combs' side as it relates to their rebuttal to the government's denial of Combs's request for an acquittal or a new trial. So we're going to see what Sean Combs' side has to say on that. So we're just playing a game of tennis right now. We'll keep you guys updated on the latest and greatest there. Now, let's get into this young lady. Oh my goodness, this is just I hate hearing things like this, but this is where we are in society right now. But there is a young lady who is missing there in Washington, D.C. Let me share this here. Is it coming up? Yes. Okay, it is coming up. Let me do this. Okay, yes. Okay, there it is there. Okay, so let me pause this. So this young lady, this is DaCara. Now, DaCara has been missing, I believe, since August. Her family they are panicked looking for her. This story really caught my eye because I don't know if you all recall, but this was like not even 10 years ago, probably less than that, probably more like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. It may be 10, I'm not sure. But anyway, there was an influx of Black teen girls that were going missing in the DC area. And now we're back. We're back. Now DaCara has not been seen since last week. So the last of August, she went missing in Prince George County. Now Prince George is in Maryland. And she's 19 years old. She was last seen on August 22nd, leaving her car at a gas station in Hyattsville, which is a city in Prince George's County, before she basically disappeared without a trace. The search for her continues on. Her family has leaned on the community to help them bring her home, but they found nothing so far. Her entire full name is DaCara Rose Thompson. She's 19 years old. Now, her parents, they put out a Instagram post, and the news put out an Instagram post for her as well. I have in the description box a number where you can call if you have any information on DaCara's whereabouts or if you've seen anything suspicious. But what they're saying now is when she was last seen on August 22nd, she was seen driving her 2013 white Ford Edge, and she was seen at a Shell gas station at Eastgate Shopping Center in Laneham. Her car was ultimately found in Hyattsville, and it contained her house keys, purse, wallet, cash, and other belongings. But what I'm also told is the things that were missing was her fob, so her key fob, which is basically for her to get back her key to get back into her car, and her, I believe, her cell phone. Yes, I believe she apparently has her cell phone and her key fob, but what they said was that her cell phone has since been disabled. So I don't know if that means that it ran out of battery or if that means that it's been somehow turned in off or turned on airplane mode or something like that. I don't know, but they said it had been disabled. Her mother says, "I am so broken. Nobody should have to experience what I'm feeling right now as a parent. It's an indescribable feeling. I just want my daughter back safe." And the family recently held a vigil on August 31st. And there were community supporters. They asked people to pray and to learn more about Ms. Thompson. They went on to say that her car was found on the corner of Jasmine Terrace and Riggs Road. With the family and law enforcement centering their search around Prince George's County. They go on to say that her father texted her the night she went missing. After telling her good night, she replied that she was out, but she would be home soon, but she never returned home. Now, upon locating the vehicle, police discovered her ID, money, and phone were inside of the vehicle. However, the findings have only escalated the search of Thompson. So I guess they did end up finding her phone. Um, and that she doesn't have the phone. So a report I read earlier was that she had the phone, but I guess she does not have the phone. So the police did later discover her ID, money, and the phone. They staked out the location for days, but found no new evidence about where she has gone. They also shared that her iPhone appeared to be disabled upon investigating the device. Got it. Okay, so they had the phone, but the phone was disabled, so she couldn't make calls. No one can make calls or anything on the phone. The family has relentlessly canvassed the area with missing person posters plastered around the neighborhood. They hope the vigil and spreading awareness can bring others forward who may have information on what happened to her. Now, this is from her family. A message to my baby girl. We love you. We love you so much. If you see this, do whatever you have to. Do whatever you have to get out of your situation. And you get somewhere and you let somebody know you need help. Whatever you need to do. Mom and dad are here, your family, your community, everybody is standing behind you, and we are waiting to have you back in our arms, added her very determined mother. DaCara is described as 5'2". She weighs 105 pounds. She has long brown hair and brown eyes. And anyone with information is asked to call the local police department. The number is there in the description box, but it is area code 301-772-8970. Oh, boy, I hate hearing stories like this. And I wanted to do this story because again, this very much reminded me about the rash of disappearances of young Black women that were happening in the DC area around 10 years ago. And I know, we always see like a lot of, this person is missing and that person is missing. And it just seems like, okay, well, there's missing people. But in this particular instance, some time ago in DC, Black girls were going missing at a very exasperated rate. It was like it was a trend. There was something happening. And I don't think we ever received any notice as to what was going on. And as soon as I saw this about DaCara, I said, here we go again. Here we go again. Something is going on. And as we've noted on other episodes of my show where we've talked about missing Black kids, male and female, we've noted that when there are missing Black kids, we are the last to be found for a myriad of reasons, but much of it has to do with the exposure. the publicity, publicizing that this kid, this person is missing. Where, why, how, all of that. That it sort of gets swept under the radar. So she is 19, so technically she is an adult, but still the same, just like many adult missing persons cases get swept under the rug because they are adults and they can essentially go wherever they want. This particular case, when it comes to Black people, get even more further swept under the rug because of the stigma behind it. As it relates to somebody who has mental health issues, people will quickly jump to that. Well, how we don't know if she has mental health issues. She's gone. She wants to be gone. No, this is not a case of this young lady wants to be gone. So let's keep our thoughts and prayers with her family, with DaCara, who, until they tell us otherwise, is still alive. DaCara, if you can hear any of these reports, like your mom said, you have a whole community of people who don't even know you, never met you, but are fighting for you to come home. So we are going to be praying and fighting for you and thinking of you and all of that. Positive thinking. We want you to come home and be reunited with your family. Again, if you have any information, the contact number to the police department in Prince George's County is there in the description box. Please make that phone call if you have any information concerning this disappearance. Okay, now moving on, we're gonna move on to Scott Wolf. Now, Scott Wolf, some of you may not remember Scott Wolf because maybe you're just a little too young, but those of us who are in our 30s or 40s, we know who Scott Wolf is. We know, we remember him from the Party of Five. We remember him from various uh, other shows that we've seen over time, but we most notably know him from the Party of Five. Okay, so let me bring this up here. Now, Scott Wolf, he is married to a young lady named Kelly Wolf. Now, Kelly Wolf, back in 2000, in the early 2000s, she was on the Real World New Orleans. Okay, they met supposedly on a blind date through some people that they knew. So now I'm gonna tell you guys, you actors out there who are professional actors meeting and marrying these reality TV stars, you guys are not batting very well with this. So, oh my goodness, I wish you all well, but it's not working out. Okay, now Kelly Wolf, she's now claiming that she plans to enter treatment center as she faces 3 charges amid the Scott Wolf divorce. Now, some of you may not have even known that these two were getting a divorce or anything like that. So let me give you the rundown as to what has been going on. You're like, well, what exactly has been going on? Now, Scott and Kelly, they're in the process of divorcing after 21 years of marriage. They have 3 kids. I think the kids span from like 16, 12, and 11, somewhere in there. They have, I believe, 2 boys and a girl. They announced their split in June of this year. But then shortly after that, Kelly was taken into custody and charged with 3 misdemeanors after concerning comments that she had made against Scott Wolf. He is very worried about her mental health. And in the interim, he has been given temporary custody of the 3 kids. Now, he's filed for divorce, broken his silence. He has accused Kelly of making false allegations to gain an advantage and claims that she refutes as she seeks healing, air quotes, from the situation. Now, the situation is currently centered around the 3 kids and the custody for which Scott, as I stated, has the temporary granted has been granted temporary custody over. Um, in addition to that, he's also been granted a restraining order against Kelly. So she can't even come see her kids, even if she wants to. The mounting mental health issues, which a lot of reality TV stars have, unfortunately, is what is at play here. Now, Scott is saying, no, ma'am, you are not healthy enough to be around our kids. Okay. Now, Scott formally filed for divorce after Kelly announced the split via social media in June of 2025. Now, listen, this is the whole problem with the reality star people. The difference between a professional actor and a reality star is that professional actors, especially of the caliber of the Scott Wolfs and those who have been in the public eye for decades, really don't like to have their business out here in the street like that because they are essentially trying to maintain their credibility in Hollywood as a serious actor versus reality stars who need and feed off of drama in order to have a storyline for their next season or and to be able to be added to a show's next season, right? I mean, Kelly could very well be trying to try out for the Housewives of Beverly Hills to replace Garcelle or someone like that. Who knows? I mean, she hasn't said it, but I'm just saying, like, this is very much, primed for that sort of thing, right? I wouldn't be a bit surprised if soon we don't hear an announcement saying that she's about to, join the cast of the Housewives of Beverly Hills, amid all of this drama that's going on. One of the housewives didn't of Beverly Hills or Orange County, one of them, she was about to go to jail because her rich husband did some underhanded stuff embezzlement that she said she knew nothing about. Now, back to them in this divorce though, the divorce had become increasingly messy with the accusations of false claims and a concerning police incident that involved Kelly, which I told you guys about, which basically got her, three charges, misdemeanor charges. Now let's look at these misdemeanors. Now, it was one charge of electronic communications harassment, and then two separate charges of electronic disclosure of personal identifying information. So essentially, this sounds like she was harassing him via text. Now, what it says is that she plans to enter a rehabilitation center after she was arrested and charged with doxing and electronically harassing her estranged husband. So she was pretending to be him, and then also texting him, harassing him nonstop, essentially. And those were the three misdemeanors that she caught the case for, and why he ended up with temporary custody of the kids. And Scott is just really saying that her mental health is down the tubes, like she needs help, and so now she's going into rehab, which people do, um, in order to get that help so she can get those kids back. She says that I have informed everyone that needs to know I will be attending a treatment center starting on September 12th, so next week. She said during her arraignment. This was during her arraignment for the three charges. Now, Scott is 57, she's 48. All three charges have been marked as domestic violence related by the judge and the court records. So say the court records. This is what was asked of both me by both Bart Johnson and Scott Wolf now for 6 months. All I wanted to do was leave a marriage, she says. I am excited to go to treatment. I'm looking forward to it. My brother is taking me. It's fantastic. If it's a great place, she says. I recommended it all the time as a mental health professional myself. Yes. So on her Instagram, she calls herself a coach, a life coach, some sort of, motivator. So I guess that's what she means by she's a mental health professional herself. But it sounds like she might need the help more than giving the help, right? She says she's going to be there a month and she hopes that this helps. Um, oh my goodness. It's just so sad that this is what it's come down to, especially when you have kids this old and this is what is going on. And I will tell you, judges almost always want to keep the kids with the mother. almost always. So whenever you see a situation in family court when and the mother is not has been deemed unfit and is not given custody of those kids and those kids go to the father, no matter how great the father is, you need to know that the mother is likely pretty jammed up. She's not doing well because there is a propensity for judges to keep those kids with the mother if the mother wants those kids and if she's willing and healthy enough. In this particular instance, Kelly is not healthy enough to have those kids. And it sounds like, this is a lot more than, oh, I wanted to get out of my marriage. That's all I've ever wanted. Apparently, those text messages, the harassment, the doxing, all of that is just too much for the judge. Now, the post, in addition to contributing to the alleged online harassment, violated Scott and Kelly's temporary stipulated agreement that they had on August 26th, which contained a social media and press gag for them not to post about each other, their marriage, their children, or the divorce. The estranged pair is also barred from making disparaging remarks about the other parent to the children, either verbally or in writing. So she violated that. Now, when she was taken to jail, she addressed the arrest on Instagram stories, stating, "The police are at my house to arrest me. I have no idea why. I am not suicidal. I am no danger to anyone. I have done nothing. I am so scared, so confused." Kelly sounds like a lot of drama. She sounds like someone who just needs to be seen, wants the attention. Scott is just trying to do this by the book. It sounds like he's just somebody that just wants to make sure his kids are okay. She mostly sounds like somebody who wants attention and is utilizing this situation or has created a situation to garner attention. And that's what judges don't like. And judges especially don't like when you violate orders that have been given by them. And that is pretty much why she doesn't have custody of her kids right now. This is all to par for course for a lot of these nightmare reality show marriages. Scott Wolf is a legit actor, like a legitimate actor. Again, Party of Five, so many of our other shows that we watched there back in the day in the 90s and the 2000s. He's a great celebrated, actor, and for him to be involved in something like this is bizarro land, and it is strictly because of the fact that he sort of hooked up with someone who is of that reality show sort of vein. It's an unfortunate a stereotype, but many reality stars sort of live up to that, which is the reason we hear so much drama that comes from those families. So crazy. I wish them the best on that. Okay, guys, that's it for Casting Court TV for today. We are done for the day, but we will come back tomorrow with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates going on around the country of your most favorite high profile cases. We'll be back. We will be back. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. We'll see ya. Stay cool, stay safe, and please, as always, stay out of trouble. Peace, guys. See ya.